Hi there, it is me again. We continue analyzing the second book of Kings, especially this chapter 1, which I do believe it has a tremendous, it is a recipe for change, a recipe for transformation from the chapter 1 on all through the end. So until verse 18. It contains a recipe of transformation. As I said, there are 10 important names mentioned, but today we're going to focus only on the first verse, which says, Then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab. Well, first of all, what or who was Ahab, the one who died? Ahab was a king. It is believed or it is documented that Ahab was a bad king, a king that oppressed its people. Ahab was married to Jezebel, and Jezebel is being always associated with a evil female. Most believe that she misled true believers into committing adultery and immoral sins, and most importantly, they both did worship Baal and Baal-zebub. So there was a reign of Ahab, and what it says this verse, there's so much information in just one single verse. Then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab. So we have already briefly analyzed what Ahab, who was Ahab, and what it represents. Actually represents more, because if we are looking at this chapter as a recipe for transformation, then we start by a kingdom that is fallen. It's fallen because of the death of Ahab. Interestingly enough, in maybe in another language like in Spanish, hab is like a root for habitos or habitude or habits. Also in English could be habits. So what we see here is that what does the question that we have to start asking ourselves when we start reading this chapter, and if we analyze it, observe it as a recipe for change, for transformation, is that we have to start by the habits, because habits is what rules, governs our life. So what it's saying basically is that a certain set of rules, certain set of habits of a bad kind that used to govern our lives, they just disappeared. So I came across this chapter because I asked guidance, and I opened just a couple of days ago after I decided consciously to drop a certain set of habits that were ruling my life. All of a sudden, when we stop doing certain things that give us an immediate reward, we might end up with some kind of emptiness that I will explain later on how was that transformed into. But yeah, essentially, I used to smoke cigarette, and whenever I felt a little bit down, or then I would just go to the balcony, smoke a cigarette, and that will give me some kind of quick reward and dopamine, and I was ready to continue to go on in my day, no problem. And that went on and on since a very long time. And apart from that, I also decided to drop another habits which I won't mention. But the idea is that we have to identify who's Ahab in our lives. Ahab is the ruler that is um, enslaving us, the ruler that is represented by that set of habits. But each one will be different. In my case, that was the smoking and some other things. For you, it might be something different. So it is our job, the first step into this transformation is to identify the habits that are holding us down or dragging us down and don't let us move on. So then we have another key thing here, which is Moab. So, because it says, then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab. So, what can we understand with the rebellion? Rebellion is nothing like, it's not a passive thing. It's not, a rebellion is something that requires like a burning desire, right? Whenever there's a rebellion, it's because people are fed up or something of something and they cannot take it anymore. So they just rebel. So it involves a burning desire, right? So if we look at even the meaning of Moab is here, it has two different meanings. One is like seed of the father, which if we look at all type of change, transformation literature, they all talk about a seed. Like a seed is representing the witch. When we witch something, it's like we plant a seed. And they say that we shouldn't worry about what happens to that seed. We should have faith and have faith that the seed itself has all what it takes to bring fruits forth. So there's one of the possible meanings is seed of the father, and the other meaning is desirable land. So we are talking about desire, right? Desirable land. In this case, in the case of transformation, we might be talking about a desirable state. So then we come back to the chapter. Then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab. So all those habits that we first identified, they disappeared, they died. We didn't do much effort. In my case, I didn't do effort to stop, to give up smoking. I just identified as an habit, as an emissary of Ahab, and I knew that it will sooner or later just cease to exist if I just was conscious enough that that's what I wanted, that's what I wanted to give up. And so it happened. It just happened overnight. I just didn't buy more cigarettes and that was it. So, and as we can see here in this story, Ahab, he just died. Nothing, he just died. Starting from this passage, I honestly don't know the details how he died, but from here he just died. And then we move on. And what happens is that after he died, after all those habits disappear, we are left with Moab, which represents a burning desire for something. Moab rebelled. So the rebellion of Moab. That must be in us, this burning desire to be something different or to achieve something different. We might have a goal in life, and that's why we started working upon ourselves and we decided to give up those things that we didn't want to continue doing, be it smoking, be it oversleeping, be it overeating, be it whatever you might name it. And then the next step is like we have to start by doing a Ahab list, right? We list all the things that we don't want to have anymore. And the next thing that we need to do is to make a Moab list, like to it can be a list, or you can do it in mentally as in a sort of prayer. And Moab will represent all those desires that we have, all those things that we want to achieve. We want to study, we might want to exercise more, we might want to start a business, be independent, or find a job, a different job, or move upward in the career ladder, whatever it is, it will be Moab. And it will be, as the name implies, that will be the seed which contains all the materials to bring that forth into life, into existence. So then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab. We're going to leave it at this point. Tomorrow we will continue analyzing this chapter. Cheers.